Hey everyone, welcome, computer science students and BUBT peers. This one is specifically for you. Today, we are unpacking MD Aslam Haladar's incredibly comprehensive guide to Flutter basic widgets. Whether you're gearing up for your mobile app development coursework or just diving headfirst into the Flutter ecosystem, this explainer is exactly what you need. We're going to build a really solid mental map of how Flutter works right from the ground up, so let's get into it.
Now, to keep from feeling completely overwhelmed by a million different components, we'll use a simple building blocks approach. We're going to cover what a widget actually is, basic and layout widgets, app structure and scrolling, interaction and navigation, and then we'll wrap it all up by looking at all the widgets at a glance.
All right, let's kick things off with part 1. What exactly is a widget? As the guide clearly emphasizes, absolutely everything in Flutter is a widget, and I mean literally everything. From those tiny submit buttons to huge text paragraphs, right up to the layout formatting itself, they're all widgets. They all come together, snapping into place like a giant puzzle to form a massive interconnected structure that we call a widget tree.
But before you write a single line of code, you really need to understand the two main flavors these widgets come in. First, we have stateless widgets. These are permanently fixed once they're built. Think of a static logo or a basic title. Then we have stateful widgets. These guys are dynamic. They can actually change what the user sees on the fly using the setState command. You know, like how a heart icon instantly turns red when someone taps like.
Moving right along to part 2, basic and layout widgets.
Your absolute bread and butter here is the text widget. It lets you display anything from massive, bold headers to super long body paragraphs. And naturally, you have total control over the styling. Custom font sizes, colors, alignments, and overflow behaviors, it's all baked right in and super easy to use.
Next up is the container widget. This essentially acts like a physical box to hold your other items. You can set its padding, tweak the margins, add borders, all that good stuff. But listen up, because here is a massive pro tip straight from our author. Never, ever declare both a color and a decoration property at the exact same time. If you do, well, enjoy the dreaded red screen of death because your app will absolutely crash.
So how do we organize all these container boxes? We use layout structures. A row acts just like a horizontal shelf for your widgets, lining them up neatly side by side from left to right. A column, on the other hand, stacks them vertically from top to bottom. Honestly, mastering how these cross and main axes align is the ultimate secret to getting perfect screen layouts.
But what if you don't want things just sitting side by side? What if you actually want them overlapping? Well, that is exactly where the stack widget comes in. It layers items right on top of one another, kind of like sheets of paper. If you want to place text directly over a cool background image, or maybe add one of those little red notification badges to a profile icon, the stack widget is your go-to.
Speaking of making things look good, the image widget is incredibly versatile. You aren't just stuck with one way to load pictures. You can pull graphics directly from your local app folders using the asset source, fetch them live from internet URLs using Network, grab them right from the user's local device storage, or even render them straight from raw memory bytes. It's super powerful.
Okay, jumping into part 3, app structure and scroll.
If you want to save a ton of time, meet your new best friend, the Scaffold widget. It's your ultimate architectural frame. Instead of trying to build an entire screen layout from scratch, Scaffold gives you these perfect pre-built slots. You just drop your top navigation into the AppBar slot, your main content into the body, and boom, you instantly have support for side slide-out menus and bottom navigation bars.
Now, mobile screens are pretty small, right? Eventually, your content is going to run out of room and overflow. When that happens, you've got two main choices. You use a list view to create a really smooth scrolling column of items, or you use a grid view to lay items out in a beautifully spaced web-like matrix. Grid view is absolutely perfect for things like photo galleries or e-commerce product listings.
Here's another huge takeaway from the material. When you have a ton of data, always, and I mean always, choose ListView Builder. Why? Because it uses lazy loading. It only renders the specific items that are actually visible on the screen at that exact moment. That keeps your app's memory footprint incredibly tiny and its performance lightning fast.
All right, moving to part 4, interaction and navigation.
An app isn't much fun if you can't click on anything, right? Flutter gives you highly specific tools for every user action. You've got highly visible elevated buttons for your main primary actions like form submissions. You've got subtle text buttons for secondary stuff like cancel or read more. And of course, the iconic floating action button, that hovering circular button usually parked in the bottom corner for core screen actions like composing a new message.
When you actually need your users to type something out, the text field captures it all. And what's really fantastic here is the level of control you get. You can use the keyboard type property to automatically pop open a number pad when they're entering a phone number, or seamlessly hide characters securely for passwords using the obscure text property.
To actually travel between all these interactive screens, Flutter uses a system cleverly called the Navigator. Think of your app screens exactly like a physical stack of playing cards. When a user taps a profile, you push a new card onto the top of the pile to go forward. When they hit the back button, you simply pop that top card right off to reveal the previous screen underneath. It is such an elegant, logical system.
Finally, Part 5. All widgets at a glance. I highly recommend grabbing a quick screenshot of this first cheat sheet right now. It perfectly maps out your essential, foundational, and layout blocks. Seriously, knowing exactly when to reach for a container versus a stack or a scaffold is exactly what separates beginners from pros. And here is the second half of that cheat sheet, covering your major interactive, scrolling, and structural elements. If you keep these two summaries handy while you're coding, you'll always know exactly which tool to pull from your Flutter toolbox.
So, Bubbit peers and aspiring developers, you now have the complete structural mental map required to truly succeed in Flutter app development. The foundation is officially laid. So I'll leave you with this. Which widget are you going to start building your app with today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy coding!